Ambassador Tella had served the Galactic Council for 300 years. She had seen wars end and empires fall. She had watched young species take their first steps into the stars. Nothing had ever scared her. But today, standing in the great hall of the council, her transparent skin turned pale with fear. The message played again on the massive screen above the gathered delegates. Simple numbers. Mathematical patterns? A language so basic that any intelligent species could understand it. The translation appeared below in glowing letters. We are coming out. The hall erupted into chaos. 847 species, each with their own language, their own fears, their own memories. But they all shared one thing. They all knew about Sector 77 Delta. They all knew about the quarantine zone. Hi, Chancellor Morik raised his ancient hand. The Dranathi leader was older than most civilizations. His gray scales had seen the rise and fall of countless worlds. When he spoke, everyone listened. Silence, he said. His voice was soft, but it carried across the entire hall. We knew this day might come. The precursors warned us. Now we must decide what to do. Tella stepped forward. As the senior member of the Security Committee, this was her responsibility. Hi, Chancellor. We must review the historical records. We need to understand what we are dealing with. Morik nodded slowly. Then let us remember. Screen changed. Ancient symbols appeared, carved into stone 10,000 years ago by beings who no longer existed. The precursors. The ones who came before. The ones who seeded life across the galaxy and then vanished without. Explanation. Tella read the words aloud for those who could not understand the old language. They placed a barrier around one small system at the edge of mapped space. Inside that barrier, they left a single world. A blue world with one moon. And they left a warning. The warning appeared on screen. Every delegate in the hall knew these words. Every child in the galaxy learned them before they could walk. They must not leave until they are ready. If they leave too soon, all will burn. If they leave when ready, all will flourish. Delegate Vorik of the Montari Collective stood up. His insect-like body trembled with anger. We should destroy them now. Before they can threaten us, the precursors said they could burn everything. We cannot take that risk. The precursors also said they could help everything flourish, Tella replied. We cannot ignore half of the prophecy because it scares us. What do we even know about them? Asked another delegate, a small furry being from the outer systems. 10,000 years, and we know nothing. Tella pulled up the data they had collected over the millennia. It was not much. The barrier around Sector 77 Delta blocked all scans, all probes, all attempts at communication. But they had learned some things. You know the precursors called them humans, she said. We know they are carbon-based, oxygen-breathing, similar in basic structure to many species in this hall. We know the precursors considered them their greatest project, their final creation before they disappeared. Why? Morik asked. Why were they so special? Tella hesitated. The records are unclear. The precursors wrote about something they called the fire. They said humans possessed it. It's in greater quantity than any other species they had created. They said it made humans capable of terrible destruction and incredible creation in equal measure. The hall went quiet. Every species understood destruction. Every species understood creation. But a species that could do both at the highest level? That was something new. Something frightening. How long until they reach us? Morik asked. No, Tella admitted. We do not know their technology level. We do not know how many of them there are. We do not know anything except that they are coming. Then we prepare for the worst, Morik decided. Assemble the fleet. Every ship we can spare. We will meet them at the edge of the quarantine zone. If they come in peace, we will welcome them. If they come in war, we will defend ourselves. Over the next 3 months, the largest fleet in galactic history gathered at the border of Sector 77 Delta. Thousands of ships from hundreds of species. Weapons that could crack planets. Shields that could withstand stars. The combined might of galactic civilization, all pointed at one small region of space. Tella stood on the bridge of the flagship, watching the barrier shimmer in the distance. For 10,000 years, that barrier had held. For 10,000 years, whatever lived inside had been contained. Now, slowly the barrier was fading. Energy readings are dropping, her science officer reported. The barrier will collapse within the hour. Tella gripped the railing in front of her. Her hands were shaking. She had faced pirates, warlords, and cosmic disasters. None of them made her hand shake. All ships, prepare for contact, she broadcast across the fleet. We do not fire unless fired upon, but be ready for anything. The minutes passed like hours. The barrier grew thinner and thinner. Through the fading energy, Tella could see stars she had never seen before. A small, yellow sun, planets orbiting peacefully, and something else. Something moving toward them. A ship. Just one ship. Tella had expected an armada. She had expected weapons and threats and demands. Instead, a single vessel emerged from the dying barrier. It was small, barely larger than a shuttle. It looked almost primitive compared to the warships surrounding it. But the scans told a different story. Ambassador, her science officer whispered, his voice filled with disbelief. That hole. It is made of compressed stellar matter. That technology. Only the precursors ever achieved that. Tella felt her heart stop. The precursors had vanished 10,000 years ago, taking their secrets with them. Their technology was lost forever. Or so everyone believed. The small ship stopped in front of the massive fleet. It did not raise shields. It did not power weapons. It simply waited. Then a message came through. Clear and simple, broadcast on all frequencies. This is Captain Yuna of the HSS Horizon, representing the people of Earth. We come in peace. We have waited a very long time to meet you. May we talk? Tella looked at the tiny ship surrounded by thousands of warships. Any other species would have been terrified. Any other species would have begged for mercy. The humans just asked if they could talk, for the first time in 300 years. Ambassador Tella did not know what to say. Captain Yuna stood at the center of her small bridge, looking at the wall of warships in front of her. There were so many that she could not count them all. Their weapons glowed with enough power to destroy her ship 1,000 times over. Her crew of 12 watched her, waiting for orders. Lieutenant Hannah stepped closer to her captain. They have not fired yet. That is a good sign, right? Yuna smiled slightly. They are scared. Look at how many ships they brought. They are terrified of us. Should we not be terrified of them? Hannah asked quietly. Fear helps no one, Yuna replied. We spent 200 years preparing for this moment. We knew what we would find. They did not know what they would find. That makes us stronger. The communication screen flickered. A face appeared, unlike anything human but somehow familiar. Tall, thin, with skin-like colored glass. Ambassador Tella of the Galactic Council. Human vessel, Tella said carefully. You claim to come in peace. How can we believe you? Yuna bowed her head slightly in greeting. Ambassador, my ship carries no weapons. We brought scientists, not soldiers. We came alone, not with a fleet. What more proof do you need? Tella seemed surprised by the answer. You brought no weapons? You faced thousands of warships with no way to defend yourself. Defense was never our goal, Yuna said. Understanding was, we found precursor technology on our fourth planet 200 years ago. We spent all that time studying it, learning from it. We learned that you were out here. We learned that you were afraid of us. We decided that the best way to show we meant no harm was to come openly, honestly, with nothing to hide. Dr. Taiwu moved to stand beside his captain. He was older, with gray in his hair and kindness in his eyes. Ambassador, I am the chief scientist aboard this vessel. May I share some information with you? Tella nodded cautiously. Taiwu sent a data package across the communication link. This is everything we learned from the precursor archives. Their history, their technology, their reasons for creating us. We are sharing it freely because we believe knowledge should not be hidden. The Council fleet went silent as they received the data. Minutes passed. Then more minutes. Yuna waited patiently. She knew what they were reading. She knew it would change everything. Finally, Tella spoke again. Her voice was softer now. "The precursors called you their greatest hope. They said you could save the galaxy or destroy it. They put you in quarantine because they were not sure which you would choose." "They were right to be unsure," Yuna admitted. "We almost destroyed ourselves many times. Nuclear weapons, environmental collapse, diseases we created in laboratories. We came very close to proving the precursors wrong about us. But you survived." "We did. Not because we were smart or strong. We survived because when things got bad enough, we learned to work together. Every time we faced extinction, we found a way to unite. It took us thousands of years, but we finally understood what the precursors saw in us." Tella leaned forward. "And what was that?" Yuna thought carefully before answering. "The fire they wrote about. It is not just destruction. It is passion. It is the ability to care so deeply about something that we will do anything to protect it. We used that fire to burn each other for a very long time. Then we learned to use it to lift each other up instead." High Chancellor Morik's face appeared on screen beside Tella's. He had been listening to everything. His ancient eyes studied Yuna with an intensity that would have made most beings look away. Yuna met his gaze calmly. "You speak well, human captain," Morik said. "But words are easy. Actions are harder. Will you come aboard our flagship? Will you let us meet you face to face?" Hannah grabbed Yuna's arm. "Captain, that could be a trap." "Probably is," Yuna agreed. "But we did not come all this way to hide behind a screen." She turned back to Morik. "I will come. Dr. Taiwu will come with me. Lieutenant Hannah will remain in command of our ship." "Yuna, no," Hannah protested. Why, Yuna placed a hand on her lieutenant's shoulder. "If they wanted to destroy us, they would have done it already. They are curious. That curiosity is our greatest weapon right now." 1 hour later, Yuna and Taiwu stood in the shuttle bay of the Council flagship. Hundreds of aliens surrounded them. Some looked like insects. Some looked like walking plants. Some looked like nothing Yuna had ever imagined. All of them stared at the two humans with a mixture of fear and wonder. Ambassador Tella approached them. Up close, she was even more striking. Light passed through her skin, creating rainbows in the air around her. "You are smaller than I expected," Tella said. Yuna laughed softly. "We get that a lot. Our planet has strong gravity. It made us compact. You find this funny? I find it interesting. You brought your entire fleet because you were afraid of us. Now you see two small beings who barely reach your shoulder. The universe has a sense of humor." Tella did not seem to know how to respond to that. She led them through the massive ship to a meeting room where the council's leaders waited. Every eye followed the humans as they walked. Every whisper discussed what they might do, what they might want, what they might destroy. Yuna ignored all of it. She walked with her head high, her steps confident. She was not pretending to be brave. She simply was brave. That was what 200 years of preparation had given her. The certainty that humanity was ready in the meeting room. High Chancellor Morik sat at the head of a long table. Dozens of other leaders surrounded him, representing the most powerful species in the galaxy. "Sit," Morik said, gesturing to 2 empty chairs. Yuna and Taiwu sat. The room was silent. Everyone waited to see what would happen next. "We have questions," Morik began. "We have answers," Yuna replied. "Ask whatever you want. We will hide nothing." And so the questions began. They asked about human history, human biology, human technology. They asked about wars and peace, love and hate, art and science. Yuna and Taiwu answered everything honestly, even the parts that made humanity look bad, especially those parts. By the end of the session, something had changed in the room. The fear was still there, but it was mixed with something else now. Respect. Maybe even hope. "You have been more honest than any species I have ever met," Morik said finally. "That is either very wise or very foolish." Yuna smiled. "Where we come from, we have a saying. The truth will set you free. We have been locked away for 10,000 years. We are ready to be free now. And we are ready to help all of you be free too." Morik studied her for a long moment. Then slowly, he nodded. humans. Let us hope the precursors were right about you. The capital world of the Galactic Council was called the Sara Prime. It was a planet of crystal towers and floating cities, home to billions of beings from every corner of known space. For 12,000 years, it had been the center of galactic civilization. Now, for the first time, humans walked its streets. Ambassador Jisoo led the small delegation through the crowded spaceport. She was a calm woman in her 50s, with silver streaks in her black hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Before becoming an ambassador, she had been a historian. She had spent her life studying dead civilizations. Now she was about to learn about her own. Advisor Donghae walked beside her, his military training visible in every step. He said little, but he saw everything. Every guard position, every exit, every potential threat. His job was to keep Jisoo alive. Her job was to make sure humanity survived. Council security surrounded them as they moved through the city. Aliens of all shapes and sizes stopped to stare. Some pointed and whispered. Some backed away in fear. A few brave ones moved closer, trying to get a better look at the strange new species. They look at us like we are monsters, Donghae said quietly. To them, we might be, Jisoo replied. 10,000 years of warnings will do that. We have to show them we are more than their fears. They were taken to a grand building at the heart of the city, the Hall of Records. Inside, the entire history of galactic civilization was stored. Every treaty, every war, every discovery, and somewhere in there, the truth about humanity's quarantine. Archivist Venice met them at the entrance. He was a small creature covered in soft brown fur, with large sad eyes and delicate hands. His species had kept records since before most civilizations existed. Ambassador Jisoo, he said, bowing his head. I have been instructed to give you access to the precursor archives. I must warn you, what you find may be difficult to hear. We are prepared, Jisoo said. We have spent 2 centuries preparing. Venice led them deep into the building, past countless rows of storage units and reading rooms. Finally, they reached a vault sealed with technology so old that no living being fully understood it. This is the precursor section, Venice explained. Only the highest members of the council are allowed here. You are the first non-council species to ever enter. The vault opened, revealing a room filled with glowing crystals. Each crystal contained thousands of years of information. The collected knowledge of the beings who had created life across the galaxy. Jisoo approached the central crystal. When she touched it, images filled the room. The precursors appeared before her, tall and beautiful, with skin like starlight and eyes like galaxies. We are the precursors, a voice said, speaking directly into her mind. We seeded the galaxy with life. We watched our children grow. We loved them all. But none of them were complete. The image changed. Planet after planet appeared, each one home to an intelligent species. Some were peaceful, some were warlike, some were artistic, some were scientific. All of them lacked something. We searched for the perfect balance, the voice continued. A species that could create and destroy in equal measure. A species that could feel deeply enough to change the universe. We failed 9,000 times. Then we created humanity. Jisoo watched as Earth appeared in the crystal. Beautiful and blue, spinning slowly in the darkness. She saw the first humans, small and weak, struggling to survive in a harsh world. Humans were different, the voice said. They had what we called the fire, a burning passion that drove them to achieve the impossible. They felt more deeply than any species we had ever created. Their love was stronger. Their hate was more terrible. Their creativity was limitless. Their destruction was absolute. The images grew darker. Jisoo saw wars, famines, plagues. She saw nuclear weapons exploding over cities. She saw forests burning and oceans dying. She saw humanity at its worst. We watched them nearly destroy themselves over and over. Each time they came back. Each time they grew stronger. But they were not ready. If we let them into the galaxy too soon, their fire would have burned everything. So we built the barrier. We gave them time. How much time? Jisoo asked, though she already knew the answer. As much as they needed. We knew we would not live to see them emerge. We were dying. Something was coming for us, something from beyond the galaxy. We could not stop it, but we hoped that one day humanity could. The crystal showed the precursors' final days. Their cities fell. Their people vanished. But before they disappeared, they left their technology hidden on Mars for humans to find. They left their knowledge waiting to be discovered. They left hope. The quarantine was never a punishment, the voice said. It was a gift. Time for humanity to grow, to learn, to become what we always knew they could be. If you are seeing this message, then you have succeeded. You have controlled your fire. You have learned to burn for others instead of against them. You are ready. Krista went dark. The room fell silent. Jisoo stood still for a long moment. Tears ran down her face, but she did not wipe them away. Beside her, Donghae had removed his military mask. His eyes were wet too. All those years, Jisoo whispered. All those wars and disasters? They were tests. We were being tested. Venice stepped forward. His own eyes were filled with wonder. You passed. No other species has ever faced such trials and survived. The precursors chose well. They chose desperate creatures who did not know how to give up, Jisoo said. We survived because we had no other choice. That is exactly what the galaxy needs, Venice replied. Beings who refuse to surrender, no matter the cost. The Council has grown soft over the millennia. We have forgotten how to fight for what matters. Perhaps you can teach us. Jisoo looked at the small archivist. We can try, but first we need the Council to trust us. How do we earn that trust? By being honest, Venice said. Show them who you really are, the good and the bad. Let them see your fire. Let them understand that you control it now, not the other way around. That is exactly what we plan to do, Jisoo said. She turned to Donghae. Contact Earth. Tell them we have found the truth. Tell them we know why we were locked away. And tell them it is time to show the galaxy what humanity can really do. Donghae nodded and left to send the message. Jisoo stayed in the vault, staring at the dark crystal. Somewhere out there, beyond the edge of the galaxy, something was coming. The precursors had died trying to stop it. Now that responsibility belonged to humanity. She was not afraid. She had spent her life studying how civilizations fell. Now she would help make sure this one survived. Whatever was coming, humanity would be ready. They had been preparing for 10,000 years. They just had not known it until now. 1 year passed since humanity emerged from the quarantine zone. In that time, they had built a small embassy on the Sara Prime. They had shared technology and knowledge. They had tried to make friends. But not everyone in the galaxy wanted to be friends with humans. Warlord Kaseth stood in the center of the council chamber, his massive form casting shadows across the floor. He was a Vectari, a species built for war. His body was covered in thick armor plates, and his forearms each ended in claws that could tear through metal. His people had conquered 100 worlds before joining the council. They respected only strength. These humans are weak, Kaseth declared, his voice echoing through the hall. They are small and soft. They have no claws, no armor, no natural weapons. And yet we are supposed to believe they are the precursors' chosen ones? I demand proof. Ambassador Jisoo stood calmly before him. She barely reached his chest, but she did not seem afraid. What kind of proof would satisfy you, Warlord? The trial of worth, Kaseth said. An ancient rite, older than the council itself. Any species that claims to deserve a place among us must pass 3 tests: combat, creation, sacrifice. A murmur went through the gathered delegates. The trial of worth had not been invoked in thousands of years. It was considered barbaric by most modern species. But it was still legal, except, Jisoo said without hesitation. Kaseth's eyes widened slightly. He had expected argument, negotiation, refusal. He had not expected immediate agreement. You understand what you are agreeing to? The combat trial is fought until one participant cannot continue. Many have died, you understand, Jisoo said. Name the time and place. 3 days later, the arena was filled with observers from across the galaxy. Commander Seojin stood in the center of the fighting ring, looking up at his opponent. The Vectari champion was called Thrak, and he was the largest of his species that Seojin had ever seen. 3 meters tall, covered in battle scars, with muscles that looked like they could crush stone. Seojin was an average-sized human man in his 30s. He had trained in combat his entire life, but he knew he could not match Thrak in strength or speed. He would have to find another way to win. "Begin," the announcer called. Thrak charged forward with a roar that shook the arena. His first blow caught Seojin in the chest and sent him flying across the ring. The human hit the wall hard and slid to the ground. The crowd gasped. Some turned away, expecting the fight to be over, but Seojin stood up. Blood dripped from his mouth. His chest felt like fire, but he stood up and raised his fists again. Thrak attacked again and again. Each blow should have ended the fight. Each time, Seojin went down. Each time, Seojin stood back up. After an hour, Thrak was breathing hard. His attacks had grown slower, less precise. He could not understand why the human kept rising. No one had ever absorbed so much punishment and continued fighting. "Stay down," Thrak growled. "You cannot win." "Why do you keep getting up?" Seojin spat blood and smiled. His face was swollen, his body broken, but his eyes burned with that fire the precursors had written about. Because that is what humans do. We do not know how to surrender. We never learned. He threw a punch. It was slow and weak, and Thrak blocked it easily. But he threw another, and another. Each one weaker than the last, but still coming. Thrak staggered backward, confused. He had fought hundreds of battles. He had never faced an enemy like this. An enemy who simply refused to accept defeat. Finally, after 2 hours, Thrak collapsed. His body had given out. He had used every ounce of his strength, trying to put down an opponent who would not. "Stay down." Seojin remained standing. Barely. His legs shook. His vision blurred. But he was standing. The arena fell silent. Then, slowly, the applause began. Even Cassith, watching from his seat, found himself nodding in respect. The second trial came 1 week later. Creation. The humans were asked to present something that demonstrated their cultural worth. Dr. Taiwu stepped forward with a simple device. "We could show you our technology," he said. "Our ships, our weapons, our machines. But that is not what makes us human. This is," he activated the device. Music filled the chamber. A symphony written by a human composer 300 years ago, during one of Earth's darkest times. It started soft and sad, full of loss and pain. Then it grew, building into something powerful and hopeful. By the end, it was triumphant. A declaration that life would continue no matter what. When the music stopped, several delegates were weeping. Ambassador Tella, whose species had never experienced music before, sat motionless with tears streaming down her transparent face.
"Oh, that is what humans create," Taiwu said.
Beauty from pain, hope from despair. We take the worst moments of our existence and turn them into art that can move the souls of beings we have never met. The third trial was the hardest. Sacrifice. Delegate. Marae was the youngest member of the human delegation. She was only 25, full of idealism and hope. When the council explained the trial, she immediately volunteered. A Vorian child was dying from a rare genetic disease. No cure existed. But human organs, by a strange coincidence of biology, were compatible with Vorians. Marae's organs could save the child's life. "I offer myself," Marae said simply. "Take what you need." The council chamber erupted in shock. Sacrifice trials were supposed to test willingness, not actually be carried out. No one had expected a human to offer their life for a child they had never met. "You would die for a stranger?" Cassith demanded. "A member of a species that has shown you nothing but fear and suspicion." Marae looked at him calmly. "She is a child. She has not had the chance to show me anything yet. Maybe she will grow up to hate humans. Maybe she will grow up to love us. Either way, she deserves the chance to grow up. Tella stepped forward, her voice trembling. We cannot accept this sacrifice. The trial is meant to test willingness, not to actually take life. Then the test is passed, Murray said. But my offer stands. If the child needs my organs to survive, she can have them. That is not a trial. That is just what humans do for each other. We want to do it for you too. The chamber fell silent. Cassith, the warlord who had demanded the trials, slowly walked down from his seat. He stopped in front of Murray, towering over her like a mountain over a flower. Then he bowed his head. I was wrong about your species, he said quietly. You are not weak. You are the strongest beings I have ever encountered. Not because of your bodies, but because of your hearts. I withdraw my challenge. Humanity has earned its place. That night, celebrations erupted across the Sarah Prime. Humans and aliens danced together in the streets. Old fears began to fade, replaced by curiosity and hope. In her quarters, Murray sat alone, still shaking from what she had offered to do. Commander Seojin, bandaged and bruised but healing, sat beside her. Would you really have done it? He asked. Given your life for that child? Murray thought for a moment. Yes, I think I would have. Is that strange? Seojin smiled through his swollen face. No, that is what makes us human. We care too much. We feel too deeply. We give too freely. The precursors knew that about us. Now the galaxy does too. Outside, the stars shone bright, and for the first time in 10,000 years, humanity had truly come home. 5 years had passed since humanity emerged from the quarantine zone. In that time, everything had changed. Human ships now sailed alongside council vessels. Human ambassadors served in every major capital. Human art, music, and literature had spread across the galaxy, touching hearts that had never known such emotion. But more importantly, humanity had begun to change the galaxy itself. President UNG stood on the observation deck of the HSS Unity, humanity's newest flagship. She was an older woman now, her hair completely gray, but her mind was as sharp as ever. Through the window, she watched a joint fleet of human and alien ships travel toward the heart of the old quarantine zone. Admiral Junho approached her, his uniform decorated with medals from 5 years of service to the new alliance. Madam President, we are approaching the coordinates. The signal is getting stronger. Any idea what we will find? None. The precursor technology is still beyond our full understanding. Whatever they left behind, it has been waiting for us. The signal had appeared 6 months ago, broadcasting from deep within the space that had been sealed for 10,000 years. It spoke in the precursor language, repeating the same message over and over. The children have awakened. Come home. When they reached the source, they found a structure larger than any planet. It was a ring, spinning slowly in the darkness, made of the same compressed stellar matter as the first human ship. At its center, a light pulsed like a heartbeat. Scans are showing massive energy readings, Junho reported. The structure is active. It has been active since the signal began, Yunji nodded. Take us in, slowly. The fleet approached carefully. Ambassador Tella, now a permanent liaison to humanity, stood beside the president. Her transparent skin glowed with nervous energy. The precursors built this, Tella whispered. They built it and hid it, waiting for humanity to be ready. What could be so important? They found out soon enough. As the Unity entered the ring's center, the light grew brighter. Then a voice spoke, filling every ship in the fleet. Children of Earth, you have come at last. The light took shape. A figure appeared, tall and beautiful, with skin like starlight and eyes like galaxies. A precursor. Or rather, the ghost of one. I am the last precursor, the figure said. I am not truly alive. I am a memory stored in this place, waiting to deliver a message. You have passed every test. You have proven yourself worthy. Now you must hear the truth. President Yunji stepped forward. We are listening. The figure spread its arms, and suddenly the observation deck was filled with stars. Not the stars of the Milky Way, but stars from far, far away. When we were young, we explored the universe. We found wonders beyond imagination. We also found horrors. In the space between galaxies, there is something waiting. We called it the darkness. It has no form, no voice, no mercy. It consumes everything it touches. Stars, planets, civilizations. Nothing survives its hunger. The stars in the vision began to go out, one by one, swallowed by an emptiness that seemed to eat light itself. We fought the darkness for 1,000,000 years. We lost. Our empire crumbled. Our people died. In our final days, we did the only thing we could. We seeded the galaxy with life, hoping that one day, one of our children would be strong enough to do what we could not. And you chose us, Youngji said. We chose many, but only you survived your trials. Only you had the fire that could burn even in the deepest darkness. That is why we created the quarantine. Not to imprison you, but to give you time to grow strong. The darkness is patient. It has waited millions of years. But it is coming. It will be here within a century. The vision changed. Now it showed the structure they were inside, and thousands of others like it, scattered across the galaxy. We left you everything. Our technology, our knowledge, our weapons. They are hidden in places like this, waiting to be found. With them, you can build a defense that we never could. But only if you unite the galaxy. Only if you teach them what you have learned. What have we learned? Yoonji asked, though she already knew the answer. How to hope. How to fight when all seems lost. How to love so deeply that you would sacrifice everything for those you have never met. The other species are wise and powerful, but they have forgotten these things. They have grown comfortable. They have stopped dreaming. You must remind them what it means to truly live. The figure began to fade. My time is ending. The power that sustained me is almost gone. But before I go, I give you one final gift. Light flooded the observation deck. Information poured into every computer system in the fleet. Star charts, technical specifications, historical records. Everything the precursors had ever known, given freely to humanity and their allies. You are our legacy now, the last precursor said, its voice growing faint. We loved you before you existed. We believe in you still. Do not let the darkness win. Do not let the light go out. The figure vanished. The ring grew dark and still. For a long moment, no one spoke. The weight of what they had learned pressed down on everyone. Then Admiral Junho laughed. It was not a scared laugh or a bitter one. It was the laugh of a man who had just been told he had to save the universe. He said, "We always wanted something to do." Yunji smiled despite everything. That was humanity in a single sentence. Faced with impossible odds, they made jokes. Faced with extinction, they rolled up their sleeves and got to work. 1 month later, President Yoongi addressed the Galactic Council. Every species was represented. Every eye was on her. She stood at the podium where so many leaders had stood before, but her message was different from any they had ever heard. For 10,000 years, you wondered about us. You feared us. You worried that we would burn your galaxy, but now you know the truth. We were not put in quarantine to protect you from us. We were put there to prepare us for something else. Something that threatens all of us. She told them about the darkness. She showed them the precursor archives. She explained what was coming and what it would take to survive. I will not lie to you. The fight ahead will be harder than anything any of us have ever faced. Many will die. Perhaps all of us will die. But I know something about humanity that the precursors knew too. We do not give up. We do not surrender. And we do not let the people we love face danger alone. She looked out at the assembled delegates. Beings who had once feared humanity, beings who had once demanded they prove themselves, now they looked at her with something new in their eyes. Trust, hope, faith. We spent millennia learning to stop fighting each other. We will spend eternity making sure you never have to fight alone. Whatever comes from the darkness between galaxies, It will find us standing together. It will find us ready. And it will learn what we have always known. She paused, letting the silence build. Humanity never learned how to surrender. And now neither will you. The applause started slowly, then grew into a roar that shook the chamber. Species that had been enemies for thousands of years stood side by side, united by a small species from a tiny world at the edge of the galaxy, in the darkness between galaxies. Something ancient stirred. It had destroyed the precursors. It had devoured countless civilizations. It had never known defeat. But it had also never faced humanity, and humanity was no longer alone. The stars burned bright, and the galaxy was ready.